An interesting game from the Chicago Bulls tonight in their preseason opener. It was filled with ups and downs, but overall actually an entertaining game to watch by preseason standards. Not really the preseason opener you would like to see from your team, but then again, it is just the preseason and the games don't count for anything. That being said though, it's not like preseason games mean nothing at all. It does say a lot about a team and how they're forming their identity or just identifying areas that they need to address immediately before the start of the regular season, because what I will say, and I tweeted this earlier during the game, as much as we would like to add the preseason qualifier when assessing the team's performance for this game, you also have to remember this was the exact opposite of how the Bulls showed up in last year's preseason, where they were playing with a ton of energy and high tempo offense. The guys were clicking right away despite being a team with a huge roster overhaul, and that energy carried into the regular season. The identity of that team was established early on, and it appears as if the Bulls are still trying to find that identity right now without Lonzo Ball. Seems like the young core guys in the second and third unit have developed more of an identity than the key rotational players, but either way, it's just one preseason game, so let's talk about it. I mean, first and foremost, I'll go through the usual individual performances and what stood out to me, but I think we have to start with the fact that, as much as it pains me to say it, we didn't really see much of a difference in terms of how the Bulls showed out at the end of the season and going into the playoffs than what we saw tonight in the preseason game, at least from the first unit anyway. They struggled to shoot the ball. They struggled to take care of the ball, committing 26 turnovers in total. They were awful in defending the pick and roll. And more importantly, the ball movement and fluidity of the offense was non-existent, something the front office and coaching staff have continued to stress for what they want to see changed going into the season. I believe the quote was that they want to make the offense more random and less predictable. Well, I guess it was a little more random towards the end of the game when you saw the younger guys in. But as far as the starting unit and how their offense moved, it looked pretty identical to what we saw last season. Again, just one preseason game, so not really something to get all worked up about, and they have time to figure it out before their season opener on the 19th. But anyway, typical preseason game in which the starting unit got a lot of rest. Not a single starter played more than half the game. DeRozan did his thing, attacking in the mid-range, got himself to the foul line often, went 11 for 12 from the free throw line, put up 21 points. Zach Lavine had an okay game, only played 17 minutes, shot 3 for 6, scored 10 points, but committed quite a few turnovers. First game jitters on that max contract, I guess, but yeah, he looked a little lost at times, but not going to harp on it though, since it is just the preseason opener. I'll tell you, the starter I was most impressed with though, and that was Nikola Vucevic. After having a subpar season last year, didn't play with a lot of confidence, especially with his shooting. In 23 minutes, he looked strong, was aggressive with his shot and in rebounding, shot 6 for 9, 2 for 4 from 3, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 4 blocks. Dude was actually a beast protecting the rim tonight. We're always talking about how we need a rim protector. If Vuce can keep playing like that, then we may not need one. Kidding, of course, but it was encouraging to see just how aggressive he was on the defensive end. Ayo looked good as well. Was good to see him get the start at point guard. I think Ayo at the point in Lonzo's absence is going to make the most sense for the Bulls, especially after what we kind of saw from Dragic, who looked pretty rusty, to put it lightly, actually. But Ayo had a solid outing for this first game. Then Patrick Williams, honestly, a little underwhelming. Sure, he was attacking a bit more than we've seen, but not enough that would really wow me, especially when you saw a rookie like Dalen taking matters into his own hands and playing with a high level of energy that brought the Bulls back into the game, and I'll get to him in a second. But for Patrick, didn't shoot very well. Wasn't that aggressive on the defensive end, especially when going up against Zion, which, by the way, Zion looked great. It was actually great to see Zion out there looking so excited and happy after missing so much time. Dude was just smiling the whole time that he was on the court. I was pretty happy for him. But anyway, I need to see more from Pat. I really hope we see more of his motor, getting active on offense and holding his ground on the defensive end. But anyway, the two guys I want to call out, who I loved watching tonight because they played with more energy than anyone else on the court, and that was Javonte Green and Dalen Terry. I seriously love Javonte Green so much. He's just one of these dudes that will do whatever you ask. Hustles, doesn't complain, just competes, doesn't matter if it's preseason, regular season, postseason, he's going to give you his all. And for a player who was undrafted, had to fight his way to a minimum deal, and to putting up the kind of performances that we've seen from him has just been phenomenal. Javonte was really the only guy in that first half that was showing any kind of hustle and effort on the floor. And I get it, it's just a preseason, but it's still not the precedent you want to set going into the regular season. Javonte scored 18 points, 5 rebounds, was all over the place on defense. Need to see more of that this upcoming season. And then Dalen Terry, man, I was a little wary how this kid was going to show up. When after he first entered the game in the third quarter, he immediately committed a foul, and not a very good foul either. But boy, after that, Dude was showing the coaching staff that he deserves a spot in the rotation. Doesn't matter that he's a rookie and the Bulls have all these veterans. He wants to compete and win. Like, Dalen Terry alone is what got the crowd and the Bulls back into this game after what initially looked like it was going to be a blowout. The man kept battling, was fighting for rebounds, was attacking the basket, defending the perimeter. Everyone always says he's like a Swiss Army knife and that he can do it all. No question about that. Dude has a ton of skill and athleticism. It's just a matter of whether he can harness that when it finally comes time for the regular season. Because, yeah, as good as he looked, he was still going against the Pelicans bench and two-way players. Not going to be like that when the season actually rolls around. But either way, I was very encouraged from what I saw from this kid. Dude plays with a ton of confidence. He's not afraid to make mistakes, and he knows how to get guys going and get the crowd involved. I've been waiting for the Bulls to bring in a high-level energy guy like that, like a Joakim Noah-esque energizer, and we may just have that in Dalen Terry. Dalen Terry finished the game with 11 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals, shooting 5 for 7 in 18 minutes of play. Have to be happy when you see your rookie show up like that. Kind of similar to what we saw from Io last preseason, bringing the Bulls back in games where they were down in the fourth quarter. I know some were also asking about Coby White and why he only played 3 minutes. Evidently, he injured his knee, suffered a knee contusion, and did not return to the game as a result. Hopefully, it's nothing serious that will leave him off the court for some time. Knee contusions are generally pretty mild, and my guess is we'll see him back for the game on Friday. But anyway, all in all, this was actually a fun and exciting game. What initially looked like was going to be a blowout, and it was going to be something I was going to turn the TV off and go to bed early, but the Bulls made it interesting with their young players making a game out of it, and I actually enjoyed watching the second half despite the Bulls coming up short. Let me know what you guys thought of the game in the comments. The Bulls are off until Friday, where they will face the Nuggets. I'll have a live chat for that game as well, and as always, guys, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.